Hello, hello, everybody. There we go. Thank you for coming out on a Saturday, to all of you. Really appreciate you all. It's going to take a few minutes for us to load everybody into the room, so we probably will start in a couple of minutes.
Fuck, you've got some doppelgangers.
Probably. Hopefully all of your Saturday and weekend is going great. Let's see where we're at here. Okay. So to everybody here today, this is a life science focused event. Many of you, the over 2,000 people who have registered to participate in our events for the last 6 to 8 weeks, have come to a Wednesday night event, which is sort of open to every industry. So if you are not in life sciences, you are absolutely welcome to stay and participate, but not pitch. The only companies that I want to see pitching today are the ones that are in the life science industry. So those of you who want to pitch, come back on Wednesday if for some reason you don't feel like you're in the life science industries. And for those of you that are planning on pitching, if you can go to the reaction button in the bottom and select the raise hands, that way you'll get into the queue. Who is actually, oh, wait a minute, I'm gonna have to figure out, I don't see my button for the mute. Where would that be? Okay, you have the button now? So you're gonna have to, okay, great. All right, so to everybody here today also, if you're planning on putting any notes to me in the chat, I will not be reading them. I have an assistant that's helping me out, but I won't have time to moderate the event and at the same time look at any of the okay. So to everybody also, please stay on mute the entire event. The only ones that should be not muted are those that are speaking. And what we're going to do is the folks that are going to pitch, they'll pitch, and after they pitch, I'm going to ask if anybody has any questions or comments, and that's when you can unmute yourself and make a comment. But as soon as you're done, please go back on mute. We tend to have pretty large audiences for these events, and it just takes one person who has their mute off to sort of ruin the experience for everybody. And the goal of this event is just to hook everybody up to the people they need so we can advance technologies and businesses, and all the action takes place in the chat. So before you actually make your pitch, put a little bit of information about who you are and your email address in the chat. And then, also maybe after you make your pitch, you might want to also put a notation about how to reach you in the chat so that people can actually reach out to you. The whole idea is connect everybody up. So now I also would like to ask everybody to try and keep their elevator pitches to sort of a minimum so we can get to the Q&A immediately after. I have a feeling we'll have more questions today from people because we have a lot of life science experts that are here who might have some follow-up questions. We've only done one other life science community event. It was a while ago. It actually inspired doing the weekly Wednesday events, and it was really fun, but the audience that we had was like maybe a third of the size that we're going to have today. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes with a larger audience, like I can see is already coming into our event, and they're still coming in. So a little bit of background for those who are here for the very first time and have not attended a Venture Starters event. Luke, who may be here, helped me put this event together, and actually Venture Starters is a community for the people who start ventures. And this is a free event open to the public. It's an opportunity to try and connect people in a much more efficient way than I personally believe have been happening in the startup community. So my personal belief is that having an ongoing weekly event, which we normally have Wednesday nights, helps to get people to recognize others, both investors to get to recognize startups and founders getting to recognize investors, so that we can try and move the process along so that we're not just pitching total strangers. Pitching total strangers for investment is very challenging and difficult in 2022. May have worked in previous years, but it's not working as well this year. For a variety of reasons, including stock market is down and portfolios are down and angel investors are moving to the sidelines, and even VCs are now taking their time and cherry picking. Valuations are down. It's a different environment this year. So networking to me is very, very critical. And Luke and I felt that this would be an excellent event to launch. And amazingly, we've had almost 3,000 people now register for our events. We have over 2,200 people that are following our Venture Starters community page on LinkedIn. If you aren't following us, please go to Venture Starters on LinkedIn and see about just adding the follow so that you can be updated. You are now on our mailing list, so you'll be getting mailings from us as to all of our future events. And for those of you that show up regularly, you'll probably start to recognize people and network your way into some solutions to get yourself moving in the right direction. I don't have any of the. Okay, so, all right, I'm sorry, we're just getting organized here. Another thing I want to mention is this has been a suggestion for previous events that we've hosted, that you go to the 3 dots that you can see when you hover above your picture, and there is a function called rename. And if you will add your email address after your actual name, then people will be able to see your email address that way as well. And it is useful to do, and worth doing that if you actually want to be recognized and use this event as a real networking event. Let me see. Okay, so the rules of the event are the same as every single event we do. Basically, be nice. We're not trying to embarrass anybody. Those of you who want to sound smart with your questions to show off to the rest of us, hold those questions for your one-on-one offline communications with the founders. Everything should be softball questions at this point, not challenging. We do have a number of founders that come to our events, and it's the very first time they've ever pitched. And in my opinion, we want to support them and make it a good learning experience for them. If you have suggestions of how they can improve their pitch, that's perfectly acceptable. But again, we're not looking to embarrass anybody. The other thing I want to mention is, the elevator pitches are designed to be 2 minutes long. I don't normally cut people off. It's sort of a self-determination, and hopefully I won't have to, but 2 minutes, you might be able to go a little longer. I have no clock. It's not that critical, but I do want you to try and at least keep it down to a minimum if you can. That way we can get the most amount of people possible who are pitching at the event. Let's see. So again, for those of you who are just arriving, keep on mute the entire time until you are ready to speak. I'm going to use the Zoom queue, which basically puts everybody in an order on my screen. And I have a gallery page version of what's going on. And so in case you're interested in the order and whether you're coming up next, you might switch to the gallery page that might, or screen that might give you an idea as to how soon I'll be calling on you. We are recording this event. I am absolutely stunned. We started a Venture Starters YouTube channel, I think about 6 weeks ago. It was well after we started doing these events, and we have had 39,000 views of our replays and a couple of speeches that I've given. And amazingly, between 2,000 and 4,000 people watch the replays of each of these events. And we have people literally all over the world that are watching this. So I do record it. If for some reason you're unhappy with the idea of being recorded, just don't turn on your camera and you won't be part of the show. But for those of you who are pitching, absolutely, I need you to have your camera on because we don't want to just hear you. We also want to see you. One of the reasons why this event is happening is I personally believe, having sat on lots of investor panels being pitched to by founders like you guys behind slideshows, that I don't really get to know the people because we're all focused on the slides. And many of you are able to actually deliver great presentations based on a slideshow, but it doesn't really give us the warm and fuzzies we need to get to know who you are. And investors like me invest in people. So we want to know the people too, and being hidden behind the slideshows alone makes it a little challenging. That's why this event exists. But for those of you who would like to do the full slideshow, I participate in an event called Startup Bright. And Startup Bright is a really cool event. There's a bunch of neat investors that join me on the investment panel, some groups that have invested tons of money. And I've invested in some of the startups that have pitched this event, and you're welcome to sign up for it. It is a full-on show your slides, 5 minutes to do that, and then 5 minutes for Q&A. And I highly recommend it. Luke, who is co-founder of this event, who helped me promote it, all the promotions you see are thanks to Luke. And a big shout out to him. He's the one that also is chief marketing officer for Startup Bright, and would be more than delighted to talk to you about that event if you want. You'll be able to find him in the chat. And let's see, I think I'm almost done with my notes. Was there anything else that I can think of? Okay, great. I have assistant help today, so occasionally I'll turn for that help. All right, so how many people do we have in the room now? Oh, good, 65. This is great for a Saturday. Oh my gosh, fantastic. Our Wednesday events attract between 100 and 130 people. They come and go, and probably like those events, we'll have people coming and going as the day goes on. And in terms of the length of the event, we're going to try and get everybody in that wants to. So we'll do our best. And again, everybody go on mute because I still hear a little bit of background noise. So we're going to get started right away. And Cosmo is up first. Hello, Cosmo.
Hello, Mark. Good to see you. All right. So what hospitals don't want you to know is that if everyone here watching today went into the hospital and were put in a ventilator for life support, then a handful of us wouldn't come out, and not because the disease are being treated for, but because of the ventilator. 45,000 people a year get pneumonia from bacteria they got in the hospital. This costs hospitals billions of dollars, and 15,000 of those die. And for COVID, using a ventilator after someone else has used it is like sharing their mask. The fact is that ventilators just never designed for use with highly infectious diseases, yet we do it all the time. You can't actually clean the inside of a ventilator. And when I found this out at the start of the pandemic, it was just mind-boggling, and I said, I just have to fix this. I'm Cosmo Grupp, CEO of LifeAir. I have a PhD in physics, 41 patents, and I'm 3 for 3 for products I've developed that have come to market, including a transistor that's now in here, in the iPhone from when I was a visiting scholar at Stanford, and a malaria diagnostic that's set to save millions of kids' lives. It's now for sale in India, and a robotic prostate surgery machine that is no risk of nerve damage that's now widely available in the US. Our solution is we've pioneered and built the first ventilator where 100% of the pathogens are contained and isolated inside a single cartridge that can be removed and replaced, and in under a minute, it's clean and fresh, and you're good to go. Problem solved. Dr. Fred Meem, director of the ICU at Stanford, says LifeAir's innovation solves the problem of patient-to-patient transmission once and for all. Our first patent is issued, and we're ready to commercialize it. We've raised $750,000 to get to this point, and raising $5 million to bring it to market in 2 years, build some sales, and head towards a healthy acquisition a few years after that. Together, we can save millions of lives and billions of dollars. At LifeAir, you get a breath of fresh air every time. Please reach out to me at cosmo@lifeairmedical.com. Thank you.
Cosmo and I have spoken recently. I really love this project. The more you dive down and look at this one, you'll be impressed. Does anybody have any questions?
I had one question, Mark.
Please.
How much did you say you were looking for, and how much have you invested already?
750K so far, and we still have a healthy amount in the bank, and we need about 5 million.
Okay. Reach out to me. You'll see my email in the chat. Okay.
Forgive me, I don't see who's talking.
Oh, where am I? Here I am, down on the bottom over here.
Well, but yeah, he may be looking at a different screen.
Yeah, you might be.
Yeah,
seeing a
so
different
why
screen.
don't you just reach out directly in the
I'm
chat?
Jack Torabin. You'll see my chat. I will send you an email directly or chat email directly.
Thank you, Jack.
And Jack is very well connected, so you might
Very
want to
well.
definitely reach out to him. Anybody else have a question of Cosmo before we go on to our next pitch? Okay, Cosmo, that was great. Great way to get us started. Thank you so much. Everybody will reach you in the chat if they have an interest. By the way, this has been a typical thing happening for us since we started. The investors tend to not have their picture up and don't want 50 people jumping on them, so they reach out selectively and are less vocal. But hopefully we'll get a little bit of action here today. We're going to move on next. Jesus, you are our second speaker of the day.
Hey, great. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for making the time. Jesus Reyes, I represent Cutis AI. We are a platform as a service company. We have developed 11 platforms that use artificial intelligence for product innovation and research development in companies such as Estée Lauder, Procter & Gamble, Shiseido, Allergan, and the such. Our technologies, 11 platforms, which are proprietary to us, we have developed it, we own them, allows firms to be able to develop and innovate products not only faster, about 7 times faster, but about 10 times cheaper. So we are in the process of raising $2 million via SAFE round. We would love to have any of you investors here ask me questions. One of our advantages is that we have 1.3 trillion synthetic faces on which our clients are able to go to market, be able to test the formulas that they are developing, and be able to go with data in hand to the CDC, to the FDA, to be able to show the efficacy of the products that they have developed. Not only is it able to be used on products for skin, but also for hair, as well as for products such as toxins for Botox and freezers, but also products that Allergan may make regarding like hyaluronic acids for your face. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus. Does anybody have a comment or a quick question? We're gonna have to make them somewhat quick because we have 24 people in the queue that want to speak. Okay, Jesus, meet everybody in the chat as is usual for our events. Okay, up next is Zobi. I love your name, Zobi. Every time I mention it, it's just a fun one to say.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it. Hello, everyone. My name is Ahmed Zobi. I'm the CEO of Center Health Technologies. Our premise is to harness the power of the patient's own fat tissue to treat aging-related conditions. The problem in the medical world today is you have multiple solutions for each human ailment or condition versus a true platform technology that can target various ailments. This is a major bottleneck that is preventing the advancement of the medical world. So at Center, we have developed the only automated platform technology out there that is able to process your own fat tissue and be reimplanted or re-injected back into various surgical specialties. The 3 ones that we're targeting today is healthy aging in the face, so facial fat atrophy, knee osteoarthritis, which is the depletion of the fat as well as the cartilage being, grinding bone on bone. So we're replenishing the lost fat there. And then we've also completed our clinical trial in diabetic wound healing. These are patients like my mother and my father who have diabetes and have a risk of developing a diabetic ulcer. We've shown and we've seen that by re-injecting fat tissue back into the foot, we can heal these wounds and prevent them from reoccurring in the first place. So this device is an FDA cleared device. We're cleared for over 12 surgical specialties, and we're raising our Series A right now in order to begin our commercialization in the aesthetic space and knee osteoarthritis while we go and pursue our breakthrough designation status with the FDA for our diabetic wound healing arm. And we're excited and interested to talk to any of the investors here today. Thank you.
Did you mention how much you're raising?
Yes, we're raising at minimum 6 million. That's what We as bootstrapped entrepreneurs know that we can get to the next step. But if I were to have the best of the best, it would be about a $12 million round.
Okay, anybody have a quickie comment or question? Not a lot of questions today. I'm surprised. Okay, so meet Zobi in the chat. We'll move on to one of my favorites. Sorry if I'm going to pick a favorite here today, but Jason Merrick is he and I are co-founders, although it's really Jason's company, and I sit on his board. And Jason is here for Learn, See, Do. Welcome, Jason.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me, Mark?
Yes.
Great. Hope everybody's having a good afternoon. It's nice and shiny here in the Bay Area. But my name is Jason Merrick. I'm CEO and co-founder of Learn, See, Do Care. I'm also a licensed nurse and former paramedic. In fact, I'm on shift today here at my lunch. And Learn, See, Do Care is a pediatric healthcare company focused first on digital healthcare. We connect parents and caregivers with healthcare professionals, mostly nurse practitioners, immediately over a live HIPAA-compliant video service to answer pressing questions or concerns of the parents. Parents wanted instant answers, and our platform gives worried parents instant feedback about their child. When we initially opened up our platform with just a landing page and some free ads, we had over 17,000 healthcare professionals sign up to use our platform. We currently waitlist professionals from the supply side. And I can tell you, undoubtedly, there's a huge appetite for remote work outside of MD or DO. And we recently did a full beta launch in the state of Arizona after lengthy initial beta testing. We've had traction, but need funding to scale. After our beta launch, we learned how best to scale our platform. We have remaining in our pre-seed round 100,000 for an angel via SAFE. If anybody's interested, our next round, we are looking to raise 5 million in a seed. To scale up big and fast to expand throughout the US and potentially globally. We're ready for investment, and I definitely can send you our pitch deck, our short deck. Please reach out to me in the chat if you have any questions or would like to connect with me, and I am available for questions right now.
So basically, we have a little niche where it's like for parents that need their question answered immediately, and Jason has created this amazing platform. We have some technology people in the company that I helped recruit that are truly spectacular. And not only did we get through beta testing, but we did our soft launch, learned a lot. We're ready to scale this thing. If anybody would like to help us out, definitely meet up with Jason. I don't know if anybody has a quick question, but I just wanted to throw in my 2 cents there because I like this project so much. We're not getting a lot of questions, Jason, but you'll hook up with people in the chat if there's anybody interested. And considering we keep getting more people signing up to pitch, we're going to move on. David, you're up next.
Thank you so much, Mark. This is a great venue to to talk to people. So I'm David Mead, the CEO of Terra Bioworks, and we pioneered a biological engineering platform that is 100 times faster and more precise than pharma methods for discovering and overproducing microbial natural product drugs at a fraction of the price. We can dramatically reduce manufacturing costs of existing drugs and discover new ones faster. We have strong IP revenues, and we're looking to raise $3 million in a Series A round. I sold my previous company called Lucigen for $70 million 4 years ago. And I also invented a technology, a biological tool at the dawn of my career called TA cloning that sold almost $1 billion over the last 25 years. So this is not my first rodeo. Anyway, we have a strong board and a really world-class advisory board. So the go-to-market strategy is to reduce the production costs of very expensive drugs, like cyclosporin. It's an old drug, been around forever, but it's super expensive to manufacture. We can reduce the costs and save about $1 billion a year for the manufacturing, and that's worth about $100 million in royalty payments to our company for something like that. And we can repeat this for other compounds as well. So the exit strategy is obviously to patent protect those biological production of existing drugs and license or sell them for up to 9 figures, which is obviously more than a 10x ROI. And we think we can do that in 4 to 5 years. We just received, and we're going after some drug discovery, but that's a longer term thing. We just received a really nice score from NIAID for some antifungal compounds, and we have a the world's best anti-glioblastoma anti-cancer compound that we're sitting on as well. So I'd like to think Terra Bioworks is a scalable business that has unicorn potential. Thanks, Mark.
Good to see you again, David. Does anybody have any quick questions? This is the quietest event we've had in terms of questions. You know, for a few of you, if you actually have them, be brave. That said, David, maybe you'll meet the right people in the chat, and so appreciate you coming back to pitch.
Mark,
yeah.
when I finish lunch.
Jack is one of my favorites for at least helping to engage with everybody. Thank you, Jack. Okay, so, and David, we're going to move on. Up next is Ash. Is that the best way to pronounce your first name?
That is correct, Mark.
Okay. Tell us about your startup.
Thanks for having me, Mark. Hello, everyone. How would you like to be the CEO of your own health? In fact, why are we just obsessed with managing disease? Why not health? That's where we come in. At Koniku, we want every individual in the United States and eventually all over the world to be the CEO of their own health. Do you know that in the United States, for every dollar that we spend on healthcare, 70% of it is spent in hospitals and on doctor costs? We want to put our technology in 10 million homes after our FDA approval to diagnose disease by breath, by your bodily fluids. We have a unique technology that has about 46 patents in 13 patent families to detect volatile organic compounds in the air. That means we can smell your breath, detect the disease in it, and give you a solution. We want to give you data to empower your life. My name is Ash Gabi. I have a PhD from the Imperial College in London and the ETH in Zurich. We're a company that has already raised about $30 million. We've done about $10 million in revenue. We have customers like Airbus, ExxonMobil, P&G, and other Fortune 500 companies. We have a $5 million opening in the round that we're currently closing. Feel free to reach out to me. We have excellent investors already, people like SoftBank, Presight, Andon Okapi, Platform Capital, and other investors. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you so much.
You have a deck, I assume, that you send out at some point, right?
Yes, for sure, on the one page or two.
Perfect. Okay, so if you can look in the chat for my email address, I would love to get your deck. And thank you for coming. Does anybody have any questions?
I just also would love the deck as well, because I've got an opportunity perhaps in overseas actually for this. So investment from overseas anyway. So look me up and send me your stuff.
So here's my email address. My email address is agabi@koniku.com. That's AGABI at.
Could you please send me your stuff? You'll see my email address.
Just Jack, just send it direct to Ash, and you'll get connected through the chat.
Right.
Yeah, Ash, also, I know some other foundations and organizations I would love to talk with you about what you're working on. So my information's in the chat too.
Super. In case I didn't mention it, we've already started deploying our technology and we've done nearly $10 million in revenues already. You
mentioned, and it sounds really great. I think this is the first event I recall you attending, or at least presenting at Venture Starters. So really looking forward to reading your deck. I may have some ideas for you.
Super. Thank you so much. It's due to one of our board members and advisors that advised us to reach out here. We're also, of course, looking at this opportunity in a way to spread the word. We're already talking to our distribution channels to have people that build homes have our technology as options. Like when you're picking your kitchen, you get to pick what your bathroom looks like. We want to make the bathroom the new healthcare data center that gives you data in real time, share with your medical professionals as well. So feel free to reach out to us. We want to be friends with you.
I actually have a quick question. My name is Gabrielle Wired. I actually own a medical practice. Is there how could this possibly be used? Because I like what you said. I'm from Europe. I believe in health, the opposite of treating what you started out with. So my curiosity is kind of piqued with this technology, and just curious how it could be used possibly in the medical practices as well, right?
So we're open to that option of using it in the medical practice. In fact, we have demonstrated that we can detect things like fentanyl at unprecedented levels.
Okay, so I would love to team up with you. Maybe come and maybe we can test it at our site. I have 800 patients. I'm in substance use.
Would love to. We have detected
Okay.
fentanyl.
Yeah. I like doing things like this. Is right up my alley to bring new things and really help heal the body. And this is amazing. So my information is in here too. I'm Gabrielle Wired. Okay, and I'll look for you as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. You guys are awesome.
Anybody else have a quick question or comment? All right, we'll move on.
I just want to make one comment. I have a company in Japan that might be very, very interested in what you're doing. They actually make toilets and all the things for a bathroom, but they're also investing in technology to help better understand human health from what we do in the bathroom. So you'll see my information in the chat, and please connect with me.
Fantastic.
And we're a lab too. I actually have a lab. I'm actually also a lab, so that actually works into it too. So
fantastic. Thank you very much for that, Jack. You hit the nail on the head in how we are approaching this. We actually think the patient should be center, but the distribution channels, how we get our technology out, is equally as important. Making sure everybody across the value chain has a stake in this. The toilet makers, Toto, Grohe, we have spoken to them. I'm happy to have additional conversations around the toilet makers in how they can integrate our technology into their devices from first principles.
Well,
those are conversations we're having at the moment. Happy to push.
I just have one quick question. I just want to understand your disease. What is your detection principle with the breath system? Like, what is the technology behind that?
Fantastic. So our technology base is we use genetically modified biological neurons that are expressing GPCRs to bind ORs, volatile organic compounds. So the way this works is we have genetically modified these cells. We have put them inside a biochip and merged this with electronics. So for instance, when somebody has liver cirrhosis, the literature has demonstrated that up to 11 VOCs are upregulated or downregulated. So every disease has a fingerprint that we are detecting via our technology. In fact, as of early this year, we went into clinical trials to demonstrate that we can detect COVID from breath. And that is something that we have demonstrated that we can do. We're getting into the second stage of that. So most metabolism, when you have a disease state, you have a change in the cell pathway. Instead of producing a given set of VOCs, in a healthy state, you have another set of VOCs being produced in a disease state. And you can detect this from breath, you can detect it from feces, you can detect it from urine, you can even detect it from breath. There was a famous story of a woman that is able to detect Parkinson's from smell. She's not using any magical powers, or she's not practicing witchcraft. This is because there is upregulation of certain metabolites from the breath of the individuals or from the sweat glands of the individuals that demonstrate that this person has Parkinson's, i.e. this musky smell. That is the technology we are leveraging because we are using synthetic biology merged with silicon to solve the problem, hence the Smell Cyborg technology.
Ash, did you say that you have a connection to Grohe?
So yes, we're in conversations with them.
Okay, the parent of Grohe is a Japanese corporation, and okay, well, we work with them. That's who I'm referring to.
We'll love that intro. We'll love that intro. Thank you so much.
Okay.
What is the price per test?
Sorry?
The price per test, what per detection?
So it's a subscription model that we're following, right? So we install our technology in this bathroom. Again, it's this value chain. I was talking to one of the CEO of the biggest apartment holder, Vinova, in Germany recently. We are going into that market as well. So we install our technology into your homes. The insurance companies and the builders of the home, they will take cost of that, and the person that is living in that apartment will pay a subscription cost. We are looking at the pricing for that at the moment, where we think the subscription cost per month will be equitable or comparable to what you pay in your phone bills at the moment. So it's a subscription base. The hardware itself is paid for by the people in the value chain, and we share the revenue across several sectors. The same way that the phone companies do. Most people don't pay for their iPhones. The telecommunications companies pay for it, and they pay subscription costs. We are following the same model. So by far, where we're generating our revenue from is this subscription and the data and the services that are surrounding it. So you can imagine this is connected to your healthcare providers. They will charge you a cost for that, and we'll take a cut of that. So think of it as the app store for health. We're very excited about what we're doing here. We have a very, very strong and deep IP base. IP lawyers are Perkins and Coie. Like I said, we have about 46 patents in 13 patent families already.
One question, Mark, if you don't mind. This is Dr. Rajni Hilani.
Hello, Dr. Rajni.
Hi, Ash, just a simple question. When you place these detectors into the toilets, and how do you deal with the aromatic chemicals that consumers use? Chemicals, cleaning agents, aromatic stuff, visitors. How do you deal with all that?
Fantastic questions. One of the advantage of our technology is we genetically modify the receptors to pick up these particular ligands. If you go to Financial Times or you go to Wall Street Journal, you'll see one of our biggest customers, which these are publications where we have been featured prominently. You'll see one of our biggest customers is Airbus. In that particular use case, we're looking to detect explosive compounds. So we can genetically engineer the receptors to be very specific to a given compound. So for example, in the case of this explosive compound, which I cannot mention the explosive compound itself, but in case of explosive compounds, we have designed a receptor that responds to just this particular explosive compound, and we have tested it against 3,000 additional co-founding variables that are found in the airport environment. And we have demonstrated in 114 trials, we have demonstrated that we do not have a single false positive or a single false negative. And that's data I'm happy to share in our pitch deck with you. So in summary, we can design a receptor that responds specifically to a given VOC and exclude all the volatile organic compounds or aromatics that you will find in the bathroom. Again, our goal is to map all the volatile organic compounds that touch human life. So we additionally, while we're doing that in the healthcare case, we have a B2B vertical where we have technology integrators, where we are reading in all the volatile organic compounds from everywhere. And we have a machine learning backend where we are currently streaming our data directly to Google Firebase, and we're playing all the data against each other to make sure that we are able to get a very precise response for a given compound that we're after. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, I think we're going to probably have to move on, but that was fantastic. And I think we all enjoyed learning about that.
Thank you so much, everyone. Once again, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, it's our pleasure because we always like hearing great ideas. And so far, everybody who's pitched tonight has had really a great idea. And it's always, I thoroughly enjoy it myself. So
thank you so much, Mark. We have great ideas, but we have more execution on our side.
Well, nice to hear. And, you know, yeah, come back again. Up next is Dave. And Dave, sorry you have to follow all that, but you've been with us before and you have a great project as well.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Good to be here again. Hey, Ash, your technology is pretty amazing. I'll be reaching out to you about it. Okay, so that's pretty awesome. So, all right, everybody, happy to be here again. So my name is Dave. I'm CEO of Brain Scanology. And so I invented a software that measures shape without measuring area or volume. So it's a new way of measuring spatial information, and I might win the Nobel Prize 25 years from now because it takes that long. Okay, so let me introduce you to my friend, Dr. Renee, the radiologist, right? So she's the best radiologist out there. And at 9 a.m., she's full of energy. Her diagnostic accuracy is 100%, and she's ready to train the next generation. But by 3 p.m., she's exhausted, both mentally and emotionally from dealing with life and death situations. And as much as she wants to save lives, her accuracy drops simply because she's tired and she's human. Now, the pain points that she faces are also faced by surgeons and psychiatrists. That is one, there's no tool to help her be accurate, especially when she's tired. And two, there's no way for her to measure, shapes and organs that her experience tells her should be important, but current methods can't find that, difference. And lastly, cutting edge AI in images doesn't work with old MRI machines, right? Low resolution machines. And so the treasure trove of images that her hospital sits on over the past, say, 40 years, most of it goes to waste. So the solution to this problem right, is ShapeGenie. That is our software where Dr. Renee can simply load an MRI or CT or X-ray, trace the shape she wants to measure, and the software will turn that shape into a distinct number that even deep learning cannot produce, right? And that number is great for machine learning, right? And furthermore, if she wants to use one of our disease-specific models, such as Alzheimer's detection, she doesn't even have to draw anything. Just upload the MRI, and our software will do the calculations, and within minutes, we'll send her a report to guide her diagnostic decisions. So our competitors are typically generic PACS software, PACS, meaning softwares where radiologists view X-rays and annotate things, right? And these are just for general annotation. They don't measure, significant shapes. Our other competitors are machine learning image recognition software that only work on one disease, such as Alzheimer's, right? And so our software, ShapeGenie, works on multiple diseases across multiple organs in the body. They allow you to measure what no other technology can. And we are building in-house disease-specific machine learning models to diagnose things like Alzheimer's and schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, right? Cutting diagnostic times down by 40x or sometimes 100x, depending on the psychiatric disease, right? So far we've raised, or we have early adopters, right, from premier research institutions around the world, with new one being added more and more each week. Our SaaS product software will be ready to release in January, which we're very excited about. It'll be subscription. In addition, we offer consulting services to help you apply our software to your research question. So far, we've raised $885K in SAFEs. We're doing our second WeFunder with a goal of 400K. We are at 88K as of this morning. And by the end of next year, we'll have several quarters of revenue, and we seek to raise a priced seed round of $3 million. And that's it. Thank you for your attention.
Okay. Anybody have any questions of Dave?
So Dave, I definitely want to talk with you more. I actually have, I'm a brain tumor survivor, and they missed the brain tumors in like a couple months before they actually found it. So this is really fascinating for me. I know how important it is. I'd love to talk more. I'll be in touch. This is awesome.
Awesome. Thanks, Carl. Yeah, we have access to archived data, many hundreds of brain tumors. We're ready to analyze it. We're just looking for an expert to collaborate with us, a domain expert, and we can apply for SBIR grants. I foresee, so we patented this technology. And so in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll likely bring in 15 to 20 million in SBIR funding, simply because we're the only show in town that can do this.
I have a connection with I know a guy who is basically on the first name basis with one of the head surgeons at Mayo Clinic when it comes to brain cancer. So
please,
I'm sure he would like to talk with you and then connect you with his connections there. So we should talk.
Great. Thanks, Carl.
Thanks, Carl. Anybody else have a question?
Yeah, I was just going to say my wife was actually involved in a study for her master's degree. It was a study on the effects of COVID on patients' lungs, and that involved a very similar kind of tracing method on scan images. So perhaps that'll provide you with a bit more data for working in the pulmonary field.
Yes, please connect me to her. Because I mean, there's a lot of AI models to recognize COVID infection through the lungs, right? That's has been done, but really the addition that my software brings is that we can measure subtle gradients that deep learning doesn't know. Because if the human can't define it, deep learning doesn't know to see it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'd like to talk to your wife and
it'll at least be another study to look at. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Anybody else, real quick? We really need to move on because we still have 21 people that want to pitch tonight, but thank you, Dave, for coming back. And up next is John. John, good to see you.
There, you can hear me now, right?
Yep, we can now.
Okay, this is for all the women in there. No women really likes a pap test. The stirrups, cold speculum, the feeling of the exposure and everything is similar to going out and getting a bathing suit or a root canal. What we've done is we've developed technology that we can do a total examination. Every examination is a colposcopy. We can identify even the smallest level of disease or abnormality. And then we also have a histoscope, all in the same examination, where we'd be able to get into the uterus and find any kind of an abnormality, any kind of sterilization problems, etc. The scope is so small, in fact, it's the size of a small tampon, that I can teach somebody how to use it, do an examination in a matter of 10 minutes, not that they can take the information and do anything with it. The FDA cleared us for doing, not even doing a biopsy, but doing what's known as a VIA, where we brush acetic acid on the cervix and it bubbles up like hydrogen peroxide, then put Logan's iodine on it, and we can go ahead and do a biopsy instead of sending out for a Pap sample and waiting for a return. The device is totally portable, so if a woman is having a difficult pregnancy, they can give her a scope to take home with her. If there's any kind of complication, she would insert it into the vagina, and the doctors at the hospital will be able to identify, does she need to come into the hospital, or maybe she needs some medication. As I said, the device that's going into the vagina is about the size of a small tampon. When it goes up to the cervix, a small balloon dilator opens up, so it pushes all the prolapse and all the tissue around. So a woman isn't feeling the stirrups. The woman doesn't feel all the tissue being pushed aside from the cervix. So it's basically pain-free. We're doing studies right now with robotics. Robotics just happens to be a new field in the hospitals where we'll actually be able to do 9 procedures at the same time with a remote robotic computer. That's it. So I'm in women's health.
Okay, great, John. Does anybody have any questions?
Okay.
Meet people in the chat, John. Thank you so much. Up next is Frederick.
Hi, I'm Frederick Abramson. I'm founder of Golden Thread Technology. The worst thing that can happen to an athlete is getting hurt, because then you're out of the game. Athletic injury is too common. In the United States, 1 in 8 kids in sports suffer injuries requiring medical attention. On the adult side, 1 in 12 adult athletes suffer similar injuries. The biggies are ACL tears and concussion. Golden Thread Technology is building a digital application that uses DNA analysis to score relative risks of injury to the athletes, and then uses AI machine learning-based prescriptive analytics to provide personalized action strategies designed to lower the risks. Our initial targets are moms and dads with kids in sports and adult amateur athletes. We can go directly to market because we don't require FDA approval, because injury is not a disease, according to the FDA. Our starting raise is $500,000 to launch. My background includes a PhD in human genetics and being an MIT Sloan Fellow. Golden Thread Technology is the company, and we say we're changing the game for those who play the game. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Frederick. Does anybody have a quick question? Then we're going to move on. Frederick, you'll meet people in the chat. Up next is Apolline.
Hi. Imagine you just brought your new baby home from the hospital 3 weeks ago, and your baby's crying and crying and crying, and you don't know what to do, and you don't know how to stop it. And as a parent, all you want to do is keep your children safe and in a bubble and make sure that nothing serious is going on with them. Well, my name is Apolline, and I'm the founder of Capella. And at Capella, we're building the Shazam, or the Google Translate, for babies. So a baby cries, and we're able to tell the caregivers, your baby is hungry, fussy, sleepy, in pain. Your baby's in pain more than the average baby, and all of that. So you might be asking yourself 2 questions. 1, does this work? And 2, why is this important? Well, it works extremely well using AI and machine learning. We're able to predict why a baby's crying with over 95% accuracy, and 3 times more accurately than the best trained human, in this case, a neonatologist or a nurse. And it's extremely important because, you know, we're on a mission to improve the mental and physical health and well-being of people all over the world. And we see a lot of potential in this technology and in diagnosing things through sound. You know, we're right now addressing behavioral issues, but we hope to, the vision for the company is to move into diagnostics and be able to identify disorders and breathing issues and all of this through sound for new babies. So we're building the Baby Cry Translator. We're a really good team. We're about to launch a clinical trial soon. And I would love to connect with anybody who's interested in the mission and the problem and in helping the world have happier and healthier babies. I'm just going to put my contact information in the chat. And thank you.
Apolline, I think you sent me a deck, did you not? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
If you haven't, then would you please?
No, I don't think so. Yeah. Oh yeah, I will.
Yeah, great, because I have some great ideas, and one of them involves a very large telecom here in the US. T-Mobile is actually looking for products like what you've invented.
Okay.
So let's talk, and they'll invest as well.
Okay, I will reach out. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have a quick comment or question?
Yeah, this is actually a question for the people on T-Mobile. Do they provide enough bandwidth to actually handle the information? Because a lot of that will be in the high frequency carriers in it. Or will they have to upgrade their software to handle that?
What they're doing right now is their 5G systems can be mobile and home-based. And they're using 5G, and they've got two different bands of 5G. They have a high frequency and a lower frequency and a mid frequency. So when they acquired Sprint, they got one of those bands, and they had the other two already. They're really the best place to be doing this kind of thing. And the guy who's in charge of their 5G services that would be good for Apolline happens to be my former business partner. So we have a good connection with them.
Good. I like that one, Jack. Excellent. Anybody else have a question? We'll move on then. Oh, wait, am I hearing somebody?
Sorry.
Dr. Raj, you're up. Yeah, go ahead.
Apolline, are you raising capital? Where is this company located? What can you give a couple of ideas on where you are?
Sure. So we're a team of MIT graduates. So we're still in the Boston area. We're open to moving, but right now we're still in the Boston area. And we're looking for funding, early stage funding, kind of on a rolling basis right now. So yeah, that answers your questions.
Yes, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Anybody else?
Yeah, a quick question. I love the whole idea of expanding and using AI for analyzing sound, and it just makes me think you must have thought of so many other follow-on products, everything from, of course, animals. We'd love to know what our dog is saying, to I'm thinking about if analyzing my car just by listening to it. I always try to do that, to analyzing factories.
Oh, interesting.
Are these all places that you're thinking about going into as your follow-ons?
So the animals, can you tell me what my dog needs? I get this all the time. So I've definitely thought about, the animal side of things. And then, using AI for sound I feel like there's so many things to do. So definitely, I haven't thought that much in advance to think about cars and factories because I'm more in the healthcare space, but who knows? But definitely the animal thing, I've thought about it.
I should tell you that I'm a cognitive psychologist who works in auditory perception. So I've got a lot of background in what you're doing. Anyway, we'll talk.
I would love to connect.
Can I add a little anecdote to that? In World War II, there actually was a man in charge of factory maintenance who was a musician. And because he could hear the sound of the machines, he could identify which ones were going to fail before they failed. So they had fantastic maintenance making weapons for World War II. So the factory is a very interesting one to look at and see whether it can be applied.
That is interesting, William. And I think Cosmo actually has an interesting idea, even though I get why you're focused on healthcare. Interesting. Anybody else have a quick question or comment? Then we're going to move on. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was great. Okay, up next is Reed.
Hi, thanks, guys. My name is Reed McClellan. I'm a Harvard-trained plastic surgeon. I was recruited to join faculty at Harvard, which I did for 2 years before leaving to create Cortina. Cortina is a healthcare technology company focused in the dermatology space. The reason for that 1 in 4 Americans every year need treatment for at least one skin disease. And if you ever try to get to a dermatologist, you know what I'm about to say. It takes anywhere between 1 to 2, sometimes up to 6 months to be seen in person. Interestingly, 85% of all skin disease can be treated completely virtually. For the past 2 years, my team and I have created the first ever AI-enabled teledermatology platform. Patient logs in, takes pictures of their normal skin, their disease skin, it's asked a subset of questions, and the AI can actually calculate the diagnosis, the severity of that diagnosis, and then come up with a compounded formulation that's right just for that patient. All that information gets sent to one of our board certified dermatologists. We have a national network of dermatologists. They review the case, sign off on it, and send it back to the patient, all within under 24 hours. Then 2 to 3 days later, our own national compounding pharmacy makes the medication and ships it directly to the patient. We're on both a subscription model for the most common diseases as well as one-time visits. We have 4 separate patents that are around the AI processes, and there's plenty of competition out there, but each of those competitions really focus on one area, acne or hair loss or just general dermatology. We are actually the first ever teledermatology first focused company in all 50 states with our own compounding pharmacy. And by 2026, the global teledermatology market will make up around $45 billion in value. That's what we're going after. We've already launched in all 50 states. We're also in conversations with the UAE as we speak to go international with them. My team's made up of Paul Roos and our CTO, who's one of the original architects of IBM Watson. Our medical content director is actually the #1 dermatology influencer in the world. Our medical technology director has been voted by his peers, the American Academy of Dermatology, as the top skin dietitian in the world. And we also have a medical director that's over all of our 300 plus dermatologists right now. We've already gone to market, and we're looking now to raise $8 million in our preferred equity round. That's going to allow us to do a full national push as well as increase our overall proprietary technologies. We do have both a direct-to-consumer model as well as an employer benefit package. So we've actually already signed on over 500,000 members that will be starting the service in January of next year. And so happy to take any questions.
Wow, I love this one. What's your valuation for the $8 million?
Pre-money 45.
Does anybody have any questions? Well, I don't know why anybody wouldn't, but I'd love to see your deck. I think this is a great idea. I've never heard anything quite like this one. So at least for dermatology, really cool. Thank you for presenting.
I'll give it to you. And Kevin Harrington of Shark Tank is actually leading the round. We're already more than halfway committed. We opened it 2 weeks ago, so I'll send that to you right away.
Yeah, really neat. I appreciate you pitching to our community. Thank you so much. Up next is Brad.
Hi there. Hi, Mark. Appreciate you putting this together, and good to see you again. My name is Brad Niles. I'm the CEO of Arise Precision Medicine, and we're working on the cure for lung cancer. We're targeting a family of epigenetic regulators that are disrupted in up to 70% of lung cancer patient samples, which gives us a very large market within what's already the leading killer with cancer worldwide. We're utilizing a novel concept that we like to call inhibit the inhibitor, where we're not actually going after the target itself, but we're actually going after the inhibitor of the target. This allows us to have a multifactorial induction that increases the efficacy of the product as well as prevents any safety-related toxicities. We have utilized an siRNA-based approach in order to do this. Inhibit the inhibitor concept allows us to knock down the oncogene as well as upregulate the tumor suppressor. We found this to be very effective in animal models of cancer, where we have more than an 80% tumor growth inhibition within the first 4 weeks. It's a very high area of unmet need for lung cancer, leading killer and with cancer in the world, as I was mentioning. We can target up to 70% of these patients that have been shown to have a disruption in this target that we're going after. This is potential for a $10 billion a year product and those kind of numbers. We're looking for investors right now to either lead our Series A or join a syndicate round. We're looking to raise $20 million. To take our product to human phase 1 trials. My name is Brad Niles. My email is brad@arisebio.com. Happy to take any questions, and please reach out if there's an interest.
Any questions?
Yeah, this is Ryan Smith. Hi, I used to work at a little company called Illumina, so I'm kind of
Little
interested in
company,
this
yep.
field. Is this a liquid biopsy assay or a tissue biopsy?
That's a therapeutic,
Oh, okay, it's a therapeutic. All right.
but very, very interested in the
Yeah.
data sets that Illumina has already put together, and you can, I'm sure, sitting on a treasure trove of information there that shows the disruption of our gene target.
Definitely. All right, I'll follow up offline. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Well, I hope you succeed at solving lung cancer.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
So how, besides the money, if you had the money today, how long would it take to get into human clinicals?
It's always a challenge, but we're thinking, probably within probably 3 years is a likely number.
Got it. Okay, and I don't know if I heard, but how much has been invested to date?
We've raised 2.7 to date.
Great. I'd be curious to see your deck. So look for my email address in the chat, or my assistant will send it to you because it sounds really intriguing. All right.
Go ahead. Happy to send it again, but we've talked before. But
I'm sorry, I haven't. If it was in the last 2.5 to 3 weeks, I'm a little still behind. And apologies to everybody. This event has created so much email traffic, the most I've actually ever had in my life. So it's really intriguing. But
likewise on this end, Mark.
but I really like what you're doing, Brad. And if I miss seeing your email, I will look for it, make sure it's on my to-do list, because it sounds really intriguing to me. Does anybody else have any quick thoughts on this before we move on? Okay, thank you again, Brad. Todor, you're up next.
Sure. Hello to all. So great, thanks to the organizer first, Mark, Luke, and others. And I'm Todor Karaullanov, and I'm founder and CEO of Predigma. We are an ultra deep tech startup for functional heart and brain diagnostics, and perhaps even expanding into the treatment area. We are on a mission to save and improve the lives of millions of people through developing of a new, entirely new diagnostic platform. We rely on on different parts of already developed technologies, but they have never been put together, and there is no platform like this on the market or in the works that I'm aware of. But what is really the problem we are trying to address? So the current state of the art for heart and brain imaging, like the MRI, CT, and other modalities, they provide remarkable anatomical and morphological detail. We have seen these fantastic images, and they're great, but they're actually blind to the real-time functioning of the organs. It's just a snap of what the tissue looks like, what parameters the tissue has, so some parameterization. Of course, you can see certain problems, but you don't see really how those organ functions in real time. So, and the existing functional diagnostics that should provide this insight, all these methods there in their rudimentary state. So what I mean by that is, let's take, for example, the electrocardiography and electroencephalography. Electrocardiography is almost 100 years old technology, doesn't change much, and they don't point directly and in a spatially precise way to the problem. Hence, the origin of the disease is masked. So we don't have a really functional imaging. We don't see really where the problem comes from. Why? Because all this information has to be in some sense calculating using either artificial intelligence or the human intelligence, as it has been done with ECG for decades. So, well, we are on a mission to remove this veil and to unmask the disease localization. So apart from the diagnostic and treatment, realizing a non-invasive brain-computer interfacing is a parallel venue that we will pursue, and it greatly inspires us. So how we actually do all this? Well, we're using the state-of-the-art quantum technology to detect diseases. And currently, in order to build this platform, we are very early right now. We are raising $2 million seed round. We are currently a 3-person team, 2 founders, a VP of engineering, and we have 2 advisors on different parts of the technology. Thanks.
Great. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, you'll meet up in the chat as usual. Thank you so much. We're going to move on to Gabrielle. You're up next.
Hi, I'm Gabrielle Wired. I'm the CEO of VALMed. We are a certified OBAT in Virginia, and that is an office-based addiction treatment facility. We actually have 4. We treat approximately 800 patients. We spent the last 2 years positioning ourselves to actually take this to a larger platform, expanding first statewide and then nationwide. We've invested in technology, EMR, just a slew of things that we actually had to do in order to position ourselves to do that. We treat mental health and substance use disorder, most of substance use. I believe we have a very unique model that is a recipe for success, because most of ours are in recovery ourselves, including me, and the front line of our team is, and it makes a huge difference when it comes to patient retention, how the patient is treated, and what have you. We know that 1 out of 5 Americans are faced with mental health illness every single year. We have increased over the last 10 years in spending over $100 billion. That's only going to get larger. Average profit margin in a practice like this is about 20–30%. We think we might actually be able to do better. You know, per provider, full-time provider, we can see earnings of roughly over 1.1 million per year. We currently have 6 and 2 2 mental health and then prescribing providers. And the increase over the last year has been 4.6% in mental health, and in substance use 6.5%. So the market for us is vast. And we have some pretty big competitors in the market, but our organic growth and who we are, I believe, makes us unique in the market to take this again nationwide. We have a couple of different ways that we're now exploring to do that. One might also be a franchise model. We're also very forward thinking and work with people with research. We've got a relationship with NIH and so forth, and are currently in the process of working on some clinical trials, very forward thinking with treatments. So we're really out there shaking it up a little bit. We're right now looking for about $5 million to take us to the next level. I've been doing this work roughly since 2004, but seriously only in about the last 3 years. When I took this seriously, I went from 300 to approximately 800 in those 3 years. Just to put into perspective, because I've been doing it a long time, so I have experience. But when I actually decided to make this go organically, this is what we've done. I know with some funding, we can take it all, to the stratosphere and really offer the best services for our clients, which is really our goal. And there's much more. I'm really new to this, so I'm going to stop here. Thank you for listening.
No, you're doing great though, and appreciate you being brave enough to speak to us. On a $5 million investment, do you have a expectation on the value of the company?
So I'm really, again, being so new, currently our revenue is around 3. And I don't really honestly know how to evaluate myself. I think I could sell it maybe for, looking at my competitors, I think if I had to sell it today, 7.5, maybe. That's what I'm thinking. I mean, I'm not, but again, no one has really looked at it, and we're a little bit different because we have other things that we're doing that maybe our competitors are not doing, which helps us with risk and also more services. For us, we can actually grow exponentially in revenue simply by the type of services that we provide per patient. When you look at our deck and what we have accomplished with the same patient number, but yet revenue growth, that to us is very important too, because there's different ways to layer that. And what we have layered is there's just more that we can offer as a result, and means more probably even a higher number of earnings per provider when we really dig into it.
Okay, does anybody have a comment, question?
I just have a quick one. I'm very interested in what you're doing. We are connected to several medical centers here and in Canada as well, and research groups, and also in the Middle East, believe it or not, in Dubai, at Health City. We're very connected to them. So if you reach out to me and give me a little information, we can certainly help package you better.
Oh, yeah.
Get you evaluation and do all the things that you're having trouble doing. So,
Oh, I need lots of help and I'm so willing to take it. I'm really, we're very small but mighty.
please reach out to me at jtoribin@comsciences.com.
I will. Thank you so much. Appreciate
You're very welcome, Gabrielle.
Anybody else? Okay, we're gonna move on. That was great. Thank you for coming to pitch to us. Up next is a friend, Anupam. I'm curious what you have to pitch today.
Hey, Mark. Hi, good to see you, and great to see everybody as well. So I work as predominantly as an advisor for a number of different healthcare companies, some non-healthcare as well. The company I'm pitching for today is called Heliogenomics. It's an AI-driven early cancer detection company focused on widespread adoption for convenient and affordable testing for early cancer detection. So the model the company is focused on is predominantly within liver cancer, with an active clinical trial that's going on right now, preparing a regulatory submission as well. The way the technology works is that it combines basically the results of cell-free DNA methylation testing with data from protein tumor markers and using other clinical information as well when compared to traditional blood tests, specifically for what's called hepatocellular carcinoma is the technical term, or HCC, for liver cancer and cirrhosis. So technology has been getting some recognition also outside of the marketplace. The company was recently awarded Frost & Sullivan's North American Liver Cancer Early Detection with Liquid Biopsy Company of the Year award this year. Same as well for MedTech Breakthrough Award for Best New Technology Solution. And so at present now, the company has had a couple of raises in the past because there's a Chinese partner also who's worked before I got involved with them also for a period of time. And so now is, seeking up to $30 million basically to complete, basically to finish off the round, finish off the trial, the submission, and then further commercial efforts for the product technology as well. So happy to connect with anybody if they have any questions. I have others also that I work with, but in the interest of time, I won't mention those other parties as well for today. So thank you, everyone. Thanks, Mark.
My pleasure. I'm glad to see you here. Does anybody have any quickie questions? We still have 13 more presentations to go.
I'd like to just ask you to have a chat with me afterwards, because the use of AI with genetic testing is certainly up my street.
Excellent. Happy to. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
So to the audience that arrived late, if you are planning on pitching, you need to go to the reaction button and look for the digital raise hand. And I need to kind of see who all is going to try and pitch today so we can sort of figure out how to get everybody in. So right now I've got 13 still up, but I wanted to see if there was anybody else. And if you're going to make that decision, make it now so I can plan the rest of the hour. And thank you, Anupam. We're going to move on to Courtney next.
Hi, everyone.
Can you put on your video also?
Actually, I was logged in twice. Started on my phone, so you should be able to see me now, hopefully.
Perfect. Okay,
Great. All right, so it looks like I have several familiar faces, so I'll keep this a bit more brief. But hello, everyone. My name is Courtney Backstrom. I am a software SMD quality systems engineer by trade, and I am an operative lead for Mobile MSK. Mobile MSK is essentially for people with back pain who are frustrated by the inefficiencies of traditional care. We're building a software essentially for the masses of patients who get lost in the healthcare system. Those patients, spend gross amount of times seeking pain relief and spend a lot of money for this type of treatment. Mobile MSK is pre-seed. We have a mission to provide immediate guidance and relief for back pain with a B2B2C as a service product. We started in December and went live with our first clinical site in August. And And now we're working with a full MVP to sell larger health systems, employers, and insurance companies. Our ask right now is around $750,000 to hire designers, developers, and a formal CTO, as well as start the sales cycle with many large firms. So please check out the chat to learn more, and I'm happy to ask any questions or answer any questions.
Anybody have a question? Okay, Courtney, you'll meet those in the chat that are interested. We'll move on to James.
Hi, Mark. James Lupino, co-founder and director of Risk AI. We're a joint venture of Modal Technology and Taco Holdings. I heard a handful of people mention AI this evening. It's a very useful tool, especially in the medical field, finding those needles in the haystack. There's a problem with AI, however. The models are getting complex. The data is ever growing, and the industry in general is on an unsustainable path right now. And the way all models are trained, for that matter, there's an algorithm used that's called gradient descent. And with gradient descent, folks are starting with random starting points. And excuse me, I'm going to change my view here. Random starting points, and you train the model, you get a certain accuracy. It's not good enough. You start over with another random set of guesses. You end up, the accuracy is not as good. You do it again, you do it again, you do it again. It's a very statistical approach, and it consumes a lot of power and energy, and it's just not the right way to do AI training. Nate Hayes, the inventor of the technique that we're commercializing, we're building an ASIC chip for it, invented a very disruptive technique. It is a method that guarantees you'll find the optimal solution. It's basically plug and play. You put in your model, it gives you the optimum solution. The data scientists and the researchers don't have to spend a lot of extra time redoing the model. It's a beautiful solution that the industry needs. Why are we doing an ASIC? Why don't we just go on NVIDIA's GPUs and employ this method? We have to change the arithmetic logic units in the computer circuitry a tiny bit because we're working with intervals. So we have to develop our own computer processor. There is a RISC-V ecosystem emerging, so any company that wants their own processor today can now develop their own processor. So we are seeking $35 million to develop our own processor. We expect to displace NVIDIA with the leadership in the $8 to $10 billion a year industry. It's growing tremendously. And there's one other beautiful feature of this technology. There's the issue of explainability. How do you trust your model? How do you explain the output? And because of the technique that we're using, we use intervals. We don't use floating points. And the width of the interval basically gives you a heat map back to the inputs and all the nodes in between, and gives you an explanation for why you got the result. And I think you'll be hearing a pitch later today from Susan Kaplan with Modal Technology that shows a great example of how we are able to use computers. When the data set is not that large, we can efficiently train models on regular computers, even though it may take several days. For the bigger data sets like DNA sequencing, where the data sets, I think Ryan used to work at Illumina. Ryan, if you knew those data sets are petabytes of size, right? The DNA's sequencing. So we need the chip to do bigger models. But Susan from Modal will be giving a pitch later today and give you a great example of the explainability of this technique. The AI industry needs this, and we're excited to make a huge change in this industry, which really needs a change because there's a new AI, there's a lot of hype in the AI industry, and you need something to revive the industry, if you will. And that's what I believe we're going to do. And Mark's been a very great help. Thank you, Mark. And we love your ideas on how we can bring in people, and we'll be talking to you privately on that.
I really like what you and Susan are doing, and Susan will be speaking here. It looks like 3 or 4 more people down the queue. And but does anybody have any quick questions of James? There'll be maybe more questions when Susan speaks. Basically, this is the way to a faster, better answer. Really interesting. Okay, we're going to move on. John's up next.
Hi, everyone. My name's John Curry. I'm CEO and founder of a company called Energy Cloud. We're a health tech company focused on saving lives, primarily through making buildings healthier, sustainable, and efficient. Our signature product, which recently won an Edison Award, is called Hummingbird with Air Vaccine, and we're able to deactivate COVID-19 instantly in the air, compared to our competitors based on their own science and data. Deactivate it in 30 to 60 minutes, which to me, everyone would be infected by that point. So the instant deactivation is an enormous part. Our testing was proven at USC Keck School of Medicine in their BSL level 3 lab. We tested with the real virus. We aerosolized a 3,000 times infectious dose with every single test to prove that we could handle the largest commercial buildings. And so we're really, aimed at scaling with technology that can protect the whole building. So kind of like in a complementary fashion to Cosmos product where he's, cleaning up that ventilator, we're cleaning up the ventilation system for the whole building. And part of our studies actually proved that COVID easily survives in airflows through HVAC systems. So vaccines are important and masks are important, but they're part of the puzzle piece. The airborne transmission part is the other missing puzzle piece that we need to solve. Our system also goes beyond COVID-19. It's able to address every type of air issue. So we wonder why we're getting all of these cancers in our buildings, and that's because we're spending 90% of our time indoors, and yet the pollution levels are 2 to 5 times greater indoors than outdoors. Most of that pollution can be categorized as VOCs or volatile organic compounds. Our system has a very advanced indoor air quality monitor that monitors 8 different levels of air quality. Pretty much anything you would want to monitor, we can detect in real time. And at the same time, our system doesn't just detect it, we solve the problem. We can break down VOCs typically within an hour and solve that aspect of the system as well. We just got amazing news yesterday from USC for our recent testing this year. And we also proved that we deactivate the Beta variant, the Delta variant, the Omicron variant, and one of the products, the BA2 variant. Purpose of going back in was to prove for building owners, if they want to make an investment in this type of technology, they're going to want to know that something's going to handle whatever mutation comes along. They want a system that can handle it. And that's why we went back and proved that as well. It has other safety features. It's able to get rid of smoke, save lives in the event of fire by buying additional time. So a lot. I'd be happy to go offline and get you the full details on the product and what we do. It's all data driven, which is our name's Energy Cloud. All of our products gather data. And so we don't just sell someone a product and hope it works. We prove that it works. We're raising a Series A of 8 million. We have 1 million already committed, and we're looking for a lead investor on that. And that's it in a nutshell. I look forward to answering any questions.
I just wanted to say that John's technology, I've looked at it. It's fantastic. It's really amazing. And John, I will get back to you probably early in the week. I'm still trying to catch up on all my stuff, but very interested in working with you and everyone else here. He's got a great product.
Every building needs it. And, we're making lab level air quality purification. We're bringing it and making it affordable for all of our commercial buildings, which was one of my main goals when the pandemic hit. How can we save lives? How can we bring this to all of our commercial buildings? And we are doing high-end residential and ultimately residential as well.
Can it be a retrofit?
Absolutely. 99.9% of the buildings and air conditioning systems are already out there. So good question. We can retrofit to any HVAC system, and most importantly, we can scale to any size building HVAC system.
And John, the research you got back from USC this week covered all the variants that basically the variants and so forth.
We already knew last year that we did the Beta variant, but we went back in the lab to make that business case that I mentioned. So that we tested primarily, we retested because we were able to test. One of the things we built that had never been done before was an actual system to test with real airflows. So part of what we won an Edison Award was our Abate system, which is checking airborne aerosol threat elimination system. And so all of the testing that had been done prior to this was not done in a real HVAC airflows because everything was having a real infectious agent has to be done in a biocontainment cabinet. That's not real life. If you say that your product is an HVAC level to protect the building, you need to test with real airflows. So we built the system last year, and then we were able to improve upon it to test at even higher airflows of up to 2000 CFM this year. So we went back, retested everything again at the higher airflows, and then we tested all of these different variants that I mentioned, and we actually tested an automotive and an aviation version, as well as a new portable version as well.
Anybody else have a comment or question? John, as always,
I
I
have a
really like your
question.
project. Oh, go ahead, please.
John, thank you. Awesome presentation. Love the technology. Can you briefly, how does the
Fan of yours too.
Yeah, the mechanics of how your technology works, please.
The mechanics of it.
Yes.
So it primarily is going to be installed in a return duct. So, like I was mentioning, we've proved that COVID survives up to 50-mile-an-hour velocities in HVAC systems. So we believe that's the best place. It's a central choke point to be able to deactivate it for the building. Most people don't know this, but by building code, you have to rotate air a minimum of 4 air changes per hour in a building, and much more in a hospital, or up to 10 to 20 to 25 times in a restaurant or a bar. So, as that air is going through the building, it's actually what's normally a good thing of ventilation is actually spreading the virus. So that's why we want to deactivate it there. We also do have versions that can be what I call a high density air zone that can treat elevators and public bathrooms to disinfect them as well. And, I can definitely see where we could potentially partner with you, particularly on some of the terrorism and bioterrorism detection. We have a great platform for detecting, all kinds of things in the air, but it sounds like there's got to be a way that we could probably work together as well. And the raw technology is using photocatalytic oxidation, so that uses UV light, but it's not only UV light, because the air and return ducts go by too quick for UV only to be able to do it. It's hitting our titanium dioxide grid, and that basically creates a photocatalytic oxidation process, which breaks down viral and bacterial cell walls and deactivates the virus that way. And it also is a similar thing as creating a catalyst to break down the VOC gases into harmless H2O and carbon dioxide.
I love what you're doing, John. It's so awesome that everybody in the world is waking up to the potential of using air for so many things. I love what you're doing. Would love to collaborate in some way. Just fills me with joy to see this. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I love the tech.
Look forward to following up with you and collaborating.
Yes, awesome, John. Take care.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Nice, Osh. Glad you are participating. Anybody else have a quick question for John?
John, real quick, we'll definitely connect. I just want everyone to know it's something you should share. That's what he's talking about is a big problem. That the nosocomial infection rate for COVID in hospitals right now is like 12 to 15%. So that means even 1 in 7 chance of going into the hospital without COVID and getting COVID. So what he's working on is a big deal.
Thank you very much.
I second that.
That's great too, Cosmo. I like it.
John, I did some work with the Firefighter Air Coalition. They're a group basically helping firefighters fighting fires by getting air pumped into the buildings more effectively for filling up air tanks. They would love to talk with you about there's something where firefighting suppression, that sort of stuff. So we should definitely talk.
Yeah, we basically proved we've smoked out a house in Los Angeles that was by one of the fires really quickly, and it got rid of all the smoke in the house in an hour and 15 minutes, which is great just from its direct ability to go after smoke. But what was interesting to me is it has the ability to save lives. So we want to go work back with fire departments, and we have to potentially change the building code. But if we can save another, if we can give people 5, 10, 15 more minutes to escape a building, that's going to save lives. A lot of times they die of smoke inhalation before the fire ever gets to them. So we'd love to talk with you about that.
Yeah, I'll be in touch.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anybody else?
Yeah, John, hi, it's Mina Abadir. I'm big in the biotech space with but also from I'm connected to the aviation as well as the leisure, which could take advantage of this in the prop tech space as well. So
did you say aviation?
aviation and prop tech as well. So this is a very big an area. I've helped another a client of mine with radar technology actually that picks up on heart rate, respiratory rate, as well as people counting in the room. So I've been helping them with that. So I've been connected to several of these big conglomerates that could take advantage of this. So.
Yeah, well, the aviation industry has a huge issue with 99% of the planes because the HVAC goes through the engines.
Exactly.
And we have the ability to actually, we believe, we're going to test, but we believe we have the ability. We know we can break down carbon monoxide and many complex gases, and we believe that we'll be able to solve that issue with the aviation industry. And we've just tested an auto version confidentially, brand new USC results. We tested an auto version. Our goal is, even with EV cars, you're going to have gas vehicles around for 50 years. You're going to be breathing in those pollutions. So we would like to be able to drive down the road without breathing in all of those harmful pollution. And we've got a solution for that too.
Yeah, so I'd love to connect. I'll link you up. Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, Mark.
That was great. Okay, we're going to have to move on. If anybody wants to meet John, you'll find him in the chat. Up next is Cody. Good to have you back, Cody.
Thanks, Mark. Hi, I'm Dr. Cody Garguslu, CEO of Imaginostics, and I'm a Harvard-trained physicist focused about finding a cure to aging-related diseases. At Imaginostics, we're working to accelerate drug development for pharma and to provide tools for early detection and enhanced characterization of brain disease for clinicians and the patients they serve. So why have over 300 drugs undergone lengthy clinical trials, but ultimately failed as cures for Alzheimer's disease and related dementias? Well, it's because technology didn't exist that could predict, nope, this definitely doesn't work. And that would have saved a lot of money. You see, adequate diagnostics are a necessary but not sufficient condition for finding a cure. And so the problem is that there's no imaging technology for quantifying brain abnormalities. And even the contrast dye they use right now, gadolinium, is very toxic and it actually accumulates in the brain. I got the black box warning from that, from the FDA for that. And so the pictures that are made are qualitative and only gross abnormalities can be picked up by the naked eye by radiologists. And even throwing AI on that really just reaches the radiologist's eye level. And so the data is not there in the images. So over the past 10 years, I've developed, and been working on an imaging technology that solves this problem. We have 6 patents now. And our approach to MRI delivers a safer and 10 times better scan. And so it's actually compatible with the iron oxide for contrast. So we use an FDA-approved iron oxide agent. It's essentially an intravenous iron supplement. And so for the first time, we can quantify microvascular structure, function, and leakage at the individual level for precision medicine metrics. And so our imaging technology maps brain abnormalities. It's a quantum physics-based approach that makes new data, and our software tools are compatible with existing scanners and hardware. So directors of neuroradiology at leading hospitals, including Brigham and Women's Hospital, Mass General Hospital, Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, and Memorial Sloan Cancer Center, Kettering Cancer Center, are all interested in using our biomarkers in their practice, from Alzheimer's disease and related dementia to brain cancer, brain injury. We're now running a pivotal clinical study at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston for the enhanced detection and early detection and enhanced characterization of dementia, which is really exciting. So we're raising $4 million. We have $2.5 million now in grants and investments. This includes from the National Institute on Aging, the National Institute of Mental Health, and the Alzheimer's Drug Discovery Foundation. So I will invite you to join us on our mission that will disrupt the $20 billion US market. Thank you.
Thank you, Cody. Does anybody have a question? Meet Cody in the chat then. We're gonna move on. Next up is Fayesh. How did I do on your name? Sorry if I mispronounced it.
No problem, Mark. Thank you so much for organizing this excellent event. And my name is Piyush Chef. I'm the founder and CEO of K Medical. And K Medical is focused on prevention of bed sores, also known as pressure injury. So 2.5 million patients get bed sores in the United States alone, and 60,000 of them die as a direct result of pressure injury. And there are worldwide agencies like in the US, there is the National Pressure Injury Association American Panel. And in Europe, there is EPIAP, same thing for Europe. And there is a Asia Pacific agency in Japan. And the focus of these agencies is to make sure that people survive and live their life while dealing with this pressure injuries. And so there are several products and mattresses and alternating pressure mattresses and silica fluidized airbeds that actually are supposed to help with pressure injury, but only after the injury is caused. Where we come in is we have a mattress that will prevent injury. And what we are doing is my advisors and clinical partners, we have come together to solve this pressure injury and create a mattress that will prevent it. So we have built an engineering bed that actually has 1,260 actuators, and that actually simulates the alternation that would be really ideal to prevent the pressure injury. And what we are doing is we are using AI and we are using neural networks to understand how we can prevent what would be the best pitch and amplitude to make sure that we can really we really don't have any dead zones, because when you have alternating pressure, there are all these dead zones and you're not relieving the patient of all the pressure that's on his back. So we are creating all these inputs like age and sacrum length and shoulder blade length and several of those, and we are running AI protocol to identify what should be the best pitch and amplitude. And that is our secret sauce that we will, that further we will integrate that with compliant mechanism based technology. Compliant mechanism is an excellent piece of technology where you can lift an individual who weighs 400 pounds and you can alter the pressure points as if you're pulling a desk drawer. So imagine the force that it takes to pull a desk drawer. Let's say it's 5 pounds, or it should be even less. I mean, it's technically a few grams that you pull on a desk drawer. And that's the technology that we are working on, because compliant mechanism has stored energy. And we have this underlying structure of a mattress that uses this fantastic technology. And my partner and advisor, Professor Hopkins, he's the guru of compliant mechanisms, and we are partnered with him, and we are also partnered with a clinical partner in Pittsburgh who will be doing the evaluation of this product, a clinical evaluation. And what I also want to mention is we are disruptive. We want to change the landscape of alternating pressure mattresses, which have not. You can look up the AHRQ data. AHRQ is American Health Research Quality Data, and it shows that these devices have not proven to be effective. And it's just and we are here to solve this problem. And we are proud recipients of NIH Phase 1 award and now Phase 2. The Phase 2 came in last week, so we are very excited about this. And we are looking to partner with, we're looking for investors who want to jump early on this project. And we are working on, we are now in Phase 2, so as of September 19th. So we now want to accelerate the pace of this program, and we have the seed fund through the SBIR program, and we are looking for another raise of $3 million. And we are also willing to bring advisors who are well connected with the hospitals and the nursing homes and can help us in this mission. And with that, I'll stop there, and please feel free to ask any questions or connect with me.
I just wanted to say that I did a deep dive into your stuff, and I'm really impressed. I'll be back with you this week, and we can discuss this further. But everyone should know that this is an amazing technology that you've put together. I was very impressed with it.
And
thank you so much, Jack. Yeah, I look forward to talking.
And congrats on Phase 2. I mean, that's really great news. And we're all watching your progress. I think this is great. Does anybody have any questions?
I
Yeah.
had just a follow-up. You mentioned multiple actuators. Are these essentially like a pin cushion that you're lying on and they alternate in the pressure that they exert on the body?
Yeah, so that's it's more of a simulation of alternation. That's not the product. Okay, I just want to make sure that that's not the end product. The end product is based on compliant mechanics, which is a beautiful technology. But what the engineering bed is just a bed of 1,260 actuators on a 6 feet by 2.5 feet setup, like a bed. And what we have is we have a foam top that goes over these actuators. And what we are doing is we are we undulate the actuators so that they create a sine wave in both the X direction and the Y direction. And we take all the potential inputs and like the weight of the patient, the height of the patient, the distance between shoulder blades, distance of the neck to the sacrum, and many more. So we have all these parameters, and what we are trying to do is we are trying to identify if one pitch and amplitude will fit all patient sizes, or do we need to bucket this into maybe 3 different types of undulations? And that's the beauty of this. The science, I mean, the bed sores is an age, I mean, it has been there for hundreds of years, and people build this product without knowing what actually minimizes the dead zones and what actually works for really relieving each pressure point on the back of the patient. So that's what we are doing. We are using this actuator bed to undulate with various pitches and amplitudes, and we will put that through neural networks, and we will identify which one minimizes the dead zones. And the goal is to identify that secret sauce for what is the best pitch and amplitude. And it may be 1 or it may be 5, and we may have to categorize it for one for children or one for older people, and depending on size or what we find, we will identify what those bucketing should be.
Yeah, good. We should follow up. I was dealing with a startup company that was building the beds per se. They didn't have the underlying software to analyze or adjust the amplitude or the waveform of it, but the concept of the bed itself, they had previously patented. So we should actually just discuss whether there's some kind of cooperation that we could do there, whether there's some benefit there.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jurgen. And I hope I'm saying the name right. So,
yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, happy to connect. And yeah.
Piyush, this is Dina Scott Dady. I'm a nurse at NYU, and I just wanted to let you know what you're doing is a remarkable thing, because with patients, the circulations in patients in regular hospital beds, they're getting many bed sores. So I congratulate you on doing this, because, you know, the bed sores do lead to wounds, and then the wound care comes, and then you got to treat the wound care, but, you know, it could have been avoided. So I appreciate what you're doing. Thanks.
Absolutely. And it's all for the nurses. I don't know if you noticed, but my logo has the nurses cap. So anyway, this is meant for nurses to not do any heavy lifting. I mean, the whole idea of using compliant mechanism is because it's a unique technology that you don't have to lift a heavy patient around and turn him every 2 hours. And the objective is that you use less half a pound force, and you're able to lift a patient that weighs 400 pounds from one pressure point position to the next pressure point position. So I think it's you are spot on. This is something to help the nurses and the patients, and prevent any heavy lifting for the nurses.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So no more Hoyer lifters either, because we use Hoyer lifters for the patients. But thank you again. Sorry.
Absolutely.
Piyush, do you guys have patents on the bed itself, the detection of the dead points, yes, or the AI that you mentioned at this point?
We have 4. Sorry, I shouldn't interfere.
No, go ahead.
We have 4 patents, and the compliant mechanism technology is patented, is a PCT, and we have taken it further to patent in Europe and United States, and also we have some great contacts in the big manufacturers, manufacturing giants in Europe and US. But but I think just so that you know, we are already connected, but we want to get this to a level where we can capitalize on every connect and every opportunity we have.
Thank you.
Piyush, I'd like to ask, do you have citations with supplementary data that you could share, particularly with regard to the way that the pressure affects particular parts of the body?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, there is citations that suggest that that the products in the field they are all based off 8-inch pitch, and the amplitude is more like, I mean, it's random. The amplitude is anywhere from 1 to 2 inches, but none of the devices and the product in the market range from $100, actually $100 to $5,000, and then the air fluidized bed, which comes for more, it has a MSRP of like $70,000. And so there are all kinds of products out there, but they are all post development of pressure injury. And I think we are coming up with a preventative product. But I think to your point, the citations, there is not enough methodical science and engineering that has been done to identify what kind of alternation or undulation is required. So, and that's where we come in, and that's why we have this project that got awarded, and my partners are fantastic. I mean, this is compliant mechanisms was developed originally in MIT, and my partner, Professor Hopkins, he's the guru of compliant mechanisms. He has 10,000 likes on his YouTube video for compliant mechanisms, and he does it for aerospace and defense and a lot of other areas. And now we are bringing it to healthcare.
Okay, that was great. We're going to have to move on though, and you can meet in the chat if there's any more follow-up questions. Up next is Susan Kaplan. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for putting us all together again.
My pleasure.
I want to say hello to everybody because this has been a great networking experience, and we've connected with a lot of different people and learned a lot from each other. I'm Susan Kaplan. I'm the EVP of Modal Technology, and here today I'm here to talk about the joint venture we formed with McGill in Montreal, Canada. We have a unique way of looking at biomarker discovery. James, thank you for taking on the technical part of what the AI can do, so I can focus a little bit on what we achieved. We're in the process of writing a peer review white paper for what we've done so far. Basically, using this technology, we're inviting people to come into a paradigm shift, looking at a new method of AI. It's the only method that can generate a ranked biomarker profile. McGill had spent a couple years and over $1 million trying to get the answer that we were able to find. We've discovered a ranked biomarker profile that stratifies patients to predict therapy outcomes. So we have two outcomes we were looking at. One is a service for generation of ranking profiles, whether you're looking at the indicators for COVID, and in McGill's case, they were looking at what are the biomarkers most relevant to the cancer that they were studying, because the goal is the other business model to commercialize a point of care lab kit that could identify which patients would respond or not respond right in the clinic. We've completed the proprietary biomarker profile. We have a signature, which we're going to file IP on here very shortly. We want to move forward to generate a clinical assay test and validate it in a multi-site study. We're asking for $1 million to do that. We have a strong commitment from the McGill Foundation because of their 2020 initiative to end cancer. They see our project as valuable and have committed to match $1 million of what we raised to get to the FDA validation. We have a very strong team. We have Dr. Peter Metroklis, and he's got 25 years as a clinician, surgeon, and scientist at the McGill Research Institute. Our PI is Dr. Amphula Lazarius, and she not only is at McGill, but formerly she was part of the largest Canadian IPO for small biotech called Nexia. So we were able to change the process of how you look at data. Right now, when people are doing research, they throw the data over the wall to the data scientists and say, do something with it, and then give it back to us. And we'll do some statistical rationalization to prove the probability. That's what explanation is right now. Our definition of explanation is that we do some upfront work as a cross-functional team, which several of you have talked about today. And then we can form a data hypothesis, which matches the research hypothesis. And we're able to give McGill a pie chart of all 1,200 biomarkers that we identified, and we ranked ordered them from the most significant to those not significant at all. We identified the top 10 biomarkers, so the feasibility of making a lab kit is a go. And we're moving forward with that. We're looking for funding to commercialize. We're looking for partners who develop FDA clinically validated assays, and we've already been approached by one such large organization. And we're also looking for partners that are interested in biomarker profiling and ranking. I look forward to questions. I look forward to getting to know some of you and maybe finding synergy. Thanks, Mark.
Susan, I may be one of the few McGill grads on this panel today. I have a background in health sciences from McGill. And a lot of the people in the McGill University health system, including the Dean of the Medical School, David Eidelman, and Lawrence Rosenberg, who runs medical facilities on the island of Montreal, are personal friends of mine. So I've left you my email address. I'd like to learn more. And I do have investors actually in Canada who are interested, in Montreal, in fact, who might put the money up for this.
Thanks. I'll be getting back to you. Actually, Modal has investors from Montreal too. So I look forward to talking to you about that.
Okay, great. I sent you my information. If you could get me as much as you can so I can noodle on it and then we can talk.
Sure. The other thing I'll share with folks before I leave is about 2 months ago, the IEEE Emerging Technology Division did a podcast called Rethinking Healthcare. And they interviewed both the PI from McGill and our founder and inventor. And if anybody's interested, I'd be glad to share that with you because it goes into both sides, the research side and the AI side.
Does anybody have any quick questions? I can just say I've spent a bunch of time with Susan, and the more you learn about this, the more you realize this might actually revolutionize a whole bunch of things, and it's worth a deeper dive. Susan and James are both really brilliant. It's hard to showcase how smart they are in a 2-minute elevator pitch. So I suggest some of you who are interested dive deeper on a breakout session. We're going to have to move on.
I can definitely see that.
Okay, so thank you, Susan. Idis, welcome back. Great to see you. Tell us about your project. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Susan. That was great. It was so good to connect with you prior to this event too. So kudos to you and your team. Thank you for inviting me back. So I'm Adis Lima with Curiva. And at Curiva, we believe that real-time diagnosing is the best approach to cervical cancer prevention. There's about 37.5 million women to date that need new diagnostic tools in the gynecologic oncology space. But more importantly, we need to replace this guy. So our team is working on DiaPatch, which is a wearable diagnostics patch for detecting gynecologic oncology malignancies, and we are starting with cervical cancer as our primary market of indication. We have a fully functional prototype at the moment, diagnosing biomarkers in the area of CIN2 and CIN3, which in layman's terms is basically a lesion before the tumor becomes fully evolved in the cervix. In medical terms, it means cervical intraepithelial neoplasia, 2 and 3. So we have a, we're actively fundraising our seed round at the moment. And as I put in the chat before, we have interest from 2 to 3 investors at the moment. We are looking for a lead investor because those 2 to 3 investors would follow on so long as we find our lead investors. We're really excited. We've had great traction. Susie and I have been talking on the chat with Red Crow. I pitched last week there. We're involved in 2 to 3 accelerators at the moment. One of which is actually in Switzerland. So that's going to bring me to having meetings with Roche as well as other diagnostic companies in that space. Our team is amazing. We actually have bioengineering PhD and postdoc who's had a breast oncology background and publications, and my publications come from the ovarian cancer space. So we're all blending this together. We have fractional financial folks as a CFO and COO who are wonderful. We're based out of the Midwest. So I'm in Indiana, but Chicago is our closest hub. And actually, Mark, we were able to connect with David Culver last month. And those are 2 wonderful events that one of the investors is in conversations with us about. What else can I tell you? Yeah, we're ready to close the seed round. Let's bring it. The momentum is very big, and so we're excited. So we're fundraising $2 million to get us to a minimum viable product stage that can be used in a pilot study here locally. And we're also expanding our scientific advisory board as we speak. So we have high interest of a Mount Sinai doctor, Yale University doctor, and a Beacon Health, which is our largest local health system, chairman of the board. So those are 3 initial folks, but we are looking to expand it with an additional 2 to 3 others.
I'd like to get to connect with you. I gave you my email. We do exactly what you do. We've already got the technology, and we need to connect because we can go in from the we go right into the uterus, everything, non-invasive, no incisions, nothing.
Correct. Let's do it. Thank you for them.
Anybody else have a quick question?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. So happy to see you.
Go ahead, Susie.
I love what you're doing. I'm a big fan and really I'm glad I was here to support you. I didn't know you'd be on, but I'm glad to see you here today.
Thanks,
Nicely
Susie.
said. Anybody else have a comment or question?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question regarding, can you explain a little bit more about your detection principle for cancer? I didn't get it in the beginning. So can you give a bit more detail about the process?
Certainly. So we are building, actually, I have it in front of me. I can show a little bit of the details. So it's a wearable diagnostics patch. This is just our 3D printed prototype. This is the push valve area. And then these are the areas where the biomarkers are identified. Of course, there's a negative and positive control. It is a microfluidics patch, and it does utilize microneedles. So this is actually the real-time, the actual sizing of the microneedles, although they expand and they are hollow, so they're able to pick up interstitial fluid from the lymphatic areas of the pelvic region of a woman externally. The assay that we are incorporating into the device is actually a synthetic riboregulator. So we're picking up molecules that go beyond the current, antibodies, ELISA, CA-125 for ovarian cancer, et cetera. So it is much higher accuracy in terms of sensitivity for certain, and definitely specificity. And this is technology that's coming out of the Ivy spin out that were secured by Sequoia Capital as soon as the technology came out. It's been licensed to other groups that have been successful, especially last year with the COVID-19 testing. And we will have exclusive rights to that license in the women's health space. So we are a femtech company, and we absolutely want to dominate that space.
Right. Is any type of molecular imaging involved in this?
No, it's purely a biochemical reaction and long-term algorithms and AI for transmission, like digital translation of those onto our wearable companion app, Ellie.
Right. Is it patented?
Absolutely. We have a PCT, and we are closing a licensing agreement with our microneedles companion collaborators at the moment, and with the assay that's incoming next as well. So we've had 2 to 3 meetings with that group, and as soon as more funding come in, then we're ready to sign. And
are there any publications you can share in this area?
Yeah, we have an entire data bank. So if we connect and you're willing to sign an NDA, I'm happy to share all the information we have developed to date.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Of course.
Okay,
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, that's great to have you back, and we're gonna have to move on just because of timing. William, you're up next.
Oh, thank you. I've had my thunder stolen twice. First on the use of VOCs for identifying disease, and now the next one is just following on cervical cancer. So let me explain what Pulmostics is doing. Pulmostics is using breath analysis and headspace analysis of urine in order to identify various cancers. Specifically, at this point, we're focusing on breast cancer, where by using headspace analysis and breath analysis, you get a 90% positive predictive value for the presence of breast cancer. So we're in the screening business. And similarly, with that same VOC analysis, you can, by analyzing the VOCs present in the vaginal fluids of a woman, you can identify whether cervical cancer is present or not. So in one sense, we have 2 markets to go after in women's health. One in the pelvic area, the other in the breast area. Our current market focus is on breast cancer, where we are conducting clinical trials in Mexico on approximately 1,500 women to validate breath analysis as a screening method for breast cancer. Our business focus is really on what I call the emerging markets, the lower middle income markets, because I've always been told never get in a fight with Muhammad Ali. You may win, but you're going to get hurt. Whereas in countries like Mexico, Peru, Argentina, and others, where there is not enough of an imaging service right now, we can enter into that market and be perceived as improving the healthcare system and delivering better healthcare and allowing them to use their existing imaging systems to identify where the cancers are rather than using them for screening. That's the business model. We will come back into the United States once we have a large database set in Mexico and we understand a lot more about what the breath can do. As I mentioned, with breast cancer, it's about the same 90% with urine and breath. Lung cancer, we have a 92% sensitivity for lung cancer. The reason we are not doing lung cancer right now is very simply, nobody's built a market for screening for lung cancer, but for 70 years, we have built a market for screening for breast cancer, and I've yet to meet a woman who's looking forward to her next mammogram. And we are in the process of raising money right now to complete the clinical trials and to establish the clinical trials to start looking at cervical cancer. For all of you men out there, medical detection dogs in the UK has shown that they can train dogs but to smell urine to identify prostate cancer with 85% sensitivity. That's down the road to get to that type of test, but most men don't really spend too much time worrying about whether they have prostate cancer until it's a little bit too late. Men don't get screened as easily, so it's a lesser market, not in terms of need, but in terms of what the market does. So that's my story right now. We're looking for $2 to $3 million right now, and then we will be raising a substantial amount of money after we develop the go-to-market strategies for Mexico and the Latin American countries.
And quickly, William, will you respond to me, please? We also been doing things with women's breasts. So I don't want to get this tight. We already got patents and everything on a lot of what you're doing. So
With respect to a different patent on screening for breast cancer,
yes,
using VOCs on the breast.
yeah, it's more of a stimulation with TENS. We go in and actually find out where the lumps might be.
Oh, that might be very interesting, because one of the things we're looking for is we do it in real time right at the doctor's office.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we do.
And then you want to go to the next one, which is, I don't want to schedule you for a mammogram if I can localize where it is right there and then do the actual physical biopsy.
Okay, we have a lot.
You and I will have to have a conversation on that.
Absolutely. Thanks, William.
Nice. I like seeing collaboration like that right in front of us. Beautiful. Anybody else have a quick question for William? William, we're going to have to move on because we have a few more people who want to present, but thank you for coming. Okay, Antha, did I get that better this time?
You're getting there. All right, so
go ahead.
hello, investors. I'm Atmanatha, and at Vulpine Labs, we are here to cause an evolution revolution, no less. So 90% of the US's $4.1 trillion annual healthcare expenditures are due to chronic and mental health conditions, largely from genetic causes. In 2006, almost 500 million people worldwide were 65 and older. By 2030, that total is projected to increase to 1 billion. That is 1 in every 8 of the Earth's inhabitants inhibited from continuing to enjoy life and contribute their full potential, at least partially. And that'll be due to aging. The European Parliament has actually estimated that losses linked to health inequities cost around 1.4% of the GDP in the European Union. In traditionally underserved areas, this figure may be higher. Now, on top of that, we've got climate change. To human beings, waves of the Earth's surfaces are becoming periodically uninhabitable, in some places permanently uninhabitable because of the increase in average global temperatures leading to more extreme weather events. There's the challenges of space travel coming up. If we've no need to ask who should be in charge of that, but radiation, long-term low gravity conditions, the potential for accidental exposure to the hard vacuum of space or to alien worlds as chemical compositions or weather or temperatures, these things all need to be considered before Mars habitats become an affordable and realistic prospect, let alone further space travel and colonization. For these problems, pharmaceuticals that are subject to Eroom's law just won't cut it. You need to imagine a single tool set, really, a single platform that simplifies the creation of root cause solutions to all of these problems. It sounds huge, doesn't it? But gene editing needs to be done holistically, with the whole body in mind, and it needs to be affordable and intuitive. We have gone back to first principles at Vulpine Labs to reimagine gene editing from the ground up. And the result is a 25-module suite of software we call the GUESS to simulate the entire body and the process of editing its DNA, and a device to both read and write DNA and use a sample from the patient without needing external reagents to produce the gene editing vectors that you need based on the edits you want to make that you can test using that model first before you ever put them into anything living and real. Opportunities for monetization are embedded in the design of the Laboration Network module, which is one of the 25 modules in the GUESS, that enables everyone to use the GUESS to share and sell and buy the gene edits that they create safely and securely. We also will make income through providing support, training, and co-development options. We have interest from Memorial Sloan Kettering, and we are aiming to use each module of the GUESS to provide improvements to all kinds of lab workflows, long before our AI-supported and quantum computing-boosted digital twin model and linked molecular manipulation device are complete. Our team has diverse knowledge and skill sets, formidable qualifications, including a few PhDs, and decades of experience in IT, biological sciences, finances, and business. We are looking for investment between $1 million and $3 million at this seed round stage. We have robust plans, and I can send you the pitch decks and business plans, etc., by email or whichever method suits. We are able to provide a demo of our software, particularly the Initiator Set module, which we are continuing to improve. We are currently pre-revenue, but not for long if you can help us.
Well said. I like that as a great ending. Does anybody have any questions? Because of time, I'm gonna move on.
No worries.
Thank you. Okay, Polkit, welcome. Thank you also for being active tonight with your questions. They were appreciated.
Hi, everyone. My company is Biosoftronics Private Limited. I'm in India at the moment. And my platform is called Universal Disease Diagnostics Platform. And it is a single window system for diagnosing all diseases. Now, many people don't believe that, but it's based on both RNA and DNA detection. And it is based on the principle of homologous recombination. So it has three parts to it. First part is called the DNA triplex fish hybridization reaction that forms the diagnostic kit itself. And the second part is the image analysis software. And the third part is the lab on tab hardware. So these three together form the universal diagnostic platform. So basically how it works is that if you get a tumor or tissue or blood from a patient and you suspect them to have any type of disease, so we purify out the DNA from that, and then we do a triplex fish reaction on that, and then we do the microscopy and imaging on that. And then these images are stored within a database. And then right now the work is on to create the image analysis software, because what that's going to do is going to match the incoming patient images with the ones that are stored in the database that are already diagnostic for the disease. And those are taken from valid published sources. So there's an image comparison, image matching requirement. And then once two images are matched, and there will be an output table in the form of 20 to 25 parameters, like the length of the DNA, the color of the DNA, the position of the probes. So it's pattern recognition and some machine learning and AI involved in that. And the third part of this is the lab on tab, where you directly insert the patient sample like blood or tissue or urine or saliva, and the result comes on the screen using various sensor technologies. Now we are a bit early stage than most of the participants here. So I'm currently looking for co-founders who can join me in this journey. They can be technical or non-technical. Basically, I'm looking for really good Python and Java programmers, and also hardware electrical engineers. And we are looking for investors for about $1 million for this project. Now, most of this work I did when I was in Europe, and now I'm back in India. So it's getting a little tough here to, for people to understand these things here. But I am open to detailed discussions on offline and online as well. And I put my email address and hope somebody will come and discuss this. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Very interesting. I might be able to help you with a co-founder. I already have an idea, so circle back with me later. Does anybody have any quick questions? I'm going to move on because we want to, I think, wrap this event up here shortly. I so appreciate all of you for staying this long. Thank you. And before we go to our next pitch, just want to let everybody know that we do a weekly event every Wednesday night. And if you're up for another Venture Starters event, please join us. It starts at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern every Wednesday. We usually have around 100 people or a little bit more than that come and go through the evening. Next up, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but you're with SunCare MD. And you'll need to put your, there you go, thank you.
Hi everyone, hopefully I'm audible. If somebody could confirm if I'm going to do that, would be great.
You're coming in, but your volume is very low. It's hard to hear. Maybe your microphone getting closer to will be helpful.
Okay.
or speak louder.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Madhu Kumar. I'm a physician from India. I graduated from medical school in 2020 and I finished high US medical license exams in last year. I applied for residency, got 4 interviews, but dropped out of match to start studying at MD. So let me just take a small
I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt. I rarely do, but there's this echo and feedback that is going to be almost impossible for anybody to hear. I have a feeling. Where are you calling in from, out of curiosity?
I'm calling in from India. Could I just call back or repeat that circle back to me? I'll just fix the audio issues.
Go ahead. I just want us to be able to follow along so it's not a waste of your time or ours. Here's what I'll do. I'll invite you back in if you try and reconnect. I think I'm going to just move on to Dr. Neil just to get us going here. And no disrespect to you, but I don't want to have to hear the echo. Dr. Neil Bodhi, you're up next.
Thank you very much. I'm Dr. Neil Bodhi. I'm the CEO of Paradigm Immunotherapeutics, and we're developing what we call a virtual mask to protect approximately 3% of the population who are immunocompromised and other high-risk groups from COVID-19. Our goal is to provide the protection of an N95 mask 24/7. The poster patient for who we're trying to protect is the late Colin Powell. He had multiple myeloma, blood cancer, and even though he is fully vaccinated, he still died from complications of COVID-19. What our product is it's a chimeric antibody. We've taken the receptor for our COVID-19, ACE2. We've modified it so that it binds to the receptor binding domain 1,000 to 100,000 times higher than natural ACE2. So we can very well outcompete ACE2. One of the problems that's happening with all monoclonal antibodies is only 2 that are still have approval. One's AstraZeneca's Evishield. That's in our space, and it's a proven $2.5 billion a year sales right now. The new variants that are coming along, 4.6 and others, they are completely escaping Evishield. So Evishield will probably lose its emergency use authorization within 4 to 6 weeks. So we've got a completely open field. So we have binding that's in the picomolar to femtomolar range, which is unbelievable for something of this nature. And we have not only extensive in vitro data, but we also have extensive data using human lung organoids. And we have shown to be variant agnostic. I sort of hesitate to use the term variant proof. I feel like I'm saying the ship that can't sink. But so far, we're using the virus's Achilles heel. If it doesn't bind to the receptor like BA3, it dies out. So in order to, the only constraint on the virus and mutation is it still has to bind to the receptor. So if it doesn't bind to the receptor, then it's not going to be infectious. So our antibody on the bottom half, it's an antibody, and it's what we call Fc silent. In other words, it does no harm. It doesn't activate anything. So it just binds to the virus and inactivates it. We have ultra high binding affinity, and we have extended half-life. So we have binding to receptor in the nose, and we want to saturate that receptor so that we coat the nose. It'll be probably twice a week intranasal administration. And so I made a presentation to 3 senior executives at Janssen recently. They're extremely interested. What we're looking for is we're looking for a $10 million raise that'll be able to get us through phase 1, and most importantly, get the essential non-human primate tox, and also to show that we can prevent in a laboratory setting transmission from at first Syrian hamsters, but then also non-human primates to prove that we can block transmission. current vaccines don't provide sterilizing immunity. In other words, you can still get the disease. You may not end up in the ICU or dead, but our goal is to have sterilizing immunity where we coat the respiratory tract where people don't get the disease in the first place.
Great. Anybody have any questions?
Just before anybody gets a big shout out, I've been assisting Dr. Bodie. His stuff is real. A lot of pharma venture capital has been looked at. So it is advancing with a clear strategic mindset for anybody who wants to help.
Thank you for adding that comment. Anybody else?
Yeah, this is Brian Smith. So when you titer, I guess you're looking basically at like IgAs and IgYs then, if you're looking at the nasal tract?
Well, it's a chimeric antibody, so we're delivering the antibody. So it's an IgG on the bottom, but it's Fc silent, but it's using AstraZeneca's extra long half-life. Their patents expired, worldwide patents expired in August of this year, so we don't have to pay a royalty on that. That's the same technology that the FDA approved for Evishield. But what we're doing is we're using the receptors called FcRn. It's expressed at high levels in the nose, particularly around the olfactory bulb where the infection starts. So we want to saturate that area and have a intranasal delivery like approximately twice a week. We have a exclusive agreement with a medical device manufacturer for delivery, and it hits the olfactory region. Normal nasal sprays have like a straight tip. That's not going to hit the olfactory region. So this is curved. We have tested it. It's stable at 4 degrees for more than 30 days. So you could have it in your refrigerator like insulin. And then the immunosuppressed people could take it at home without having to go to the clinic and get further exposed to COVID or have injections. People hate injections. So I think we're going to get higher compliance.
Cool. Thank you.
Anybody else have a question? It sounds fascinating, Dr. Bodie. Thank you very much. I'd actually like to see your deck. If you have one that you can send out, my assistant will reach out to you and see if that can happen. We're going to move on though.
Mark, I'd also
go ahead. Yeah, please.
I'd also like to see Dr. Bodie's deck as well, and you'll find my email in the chat. Please send it to me and let me take a look.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we're going to move on, and Jürgen, you're up next.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, Mark. Hello, everyone. I'm Jürgen Vollrath with Ruby. Ruby is, in the narrow sense, an electronic health record, or an EHR, as it's also known. For those not familiar with that, it's essentially a platform that allows interchanging of health information, or at least that was the intention when it was mandated, and the US government put 1.2 billion in there to encourage healthcare facilities to adopt EHRs. What they didn't think through is EHRs as they currently stand are universally hated by doctors simply because they have placed an unbearable burden on doctors. About 10 to 20% of physician burnout is ascribed directly to EHR systems. It takes them 6 to 9 months and 25,000 just to come up to speed on a new EHR system because they weren't made to be intuitive. They, even once they are up and running, they waste about 50% of their time on administrative overhead. When I say administrative, it's filling in the EHR fields, developing the CPT codes, collecting the supporting documentation. So what we've done at Ruby is to say, let's look at the physician, first of all, make it more palatable to them. And so just from the user interface perspective, we've made it all in the form of a graphic. It's images. So when doctors see our platform, they say, this is exactly the way we were taught at medical school. It's intuitive. We know immediately what we see and how to use it. So there's no learning curve involved. The second thing it does, it automates all of the administrative overhead. So we give back 50% of their time. The more important thing, apart from the doctor, we looked at how can we make healthcare more affordable and how can we improve healthcare for the patient. And so that's where we get to the back end. We've got an artificial intelligence system and a very unique data a mechanism which we call EDPs, or elemental data points. These essentially use every image you see, every observation it makes, every symptom that it records, it captures in an EDP together with metadata, which defines how it fits in and what it does. So it inherently has the logic for the AI system to pull in all the data about a patient. So it can readily go back 20 years in the patient's medical history, pull in the relevant information, patch it together with other information, and then it combines that with 14 years of medical information that we've captured that relates symptomatic data to diagnostic information. So essentially, the doctor, instead of becoming the single point of failure, the doctor's a super doctor. He knows everything, all the latest in research, all the latest in medical articles, captures everything on his patient from the very first time the patient ever went to a physician and renders a diagnosis. Where we are now is that we actually pushed it through 4 pilot programs, 2 of them through OHSU, all of them 100% successful. And we are now currently speaking to a very large hospital group in the Northeast. I can't mention the name because it's under NDA at the moment. The next step we want to do after that, instead of just doing it on an ad hoc basis, is to put it onto a scalable platform so we can roll it out to a million doctors. And that's why our ask is $2 million to get it to that point. I said earlier on that in the narrow sense, it's an EHR system. In the much broader sense, it will basically do analytics on any health records, any health information, and can extract information and manipulate it for all sorts of purposes. And as a case in point, the DoD and the VA have 2 disparate platforms. They're trying to integrate the 2. At the moment, the projected cost is at $40 billion to do that project. The way our EDPs are set up, we could do that in a heartbeat. If anybody has connections with the VA or the DoD, just get us in front of them to be able to explain why the traditional way of doing things, the databases and the Boolean logic that they use at the moment will never get them there, and it's always going to be a half-assed measure. So anybody who can support us in moving it in front of the DoD, we've got the solution. Thanks so much.
I'd actually like to help you on that connection to those government agencies. So circle back with me on that. Does anybody have any quick questions? Because I do want to try and wrap this up. And Mark, who's next up, is going to be our last speaker for tonight. Any quick questions for Jürgen? We're going to move on. Sorry, but I really would like to talk to you about the VA and Department of Defense. I have some connections there. Mark, Excellent. You're up next.
Yeah, so just to finish off, COVID's been a big deal, and Biden just said the other day that the pandemic's over. It's not, and there's in addition a huge issue with long COVID that has about 5 million ill, estimated going to cost our economy $200 billion a year. The White House has started proposing a $22 billion fund for long COVID that I highly encourage you all to encourage them to fund. And then that will lead to hopefully many of you considering better diagnostics because there's 0, and better treatments because there are 0 for long COVID that are approved. And there's a very similar illness, myalgic encephalomyelitis, which looks a heck of a lot like long COVID, according to Fauci and many other people. And so people should be aware that they both should be studied together, because what's going to happen with long COVID is already known somewhat from myalgic encephalomyelitis. My son, and this is a disclaimer, my son since 2014 has been totally disabled, 28 years old now with myalgic encephalomyelitis. We better learn for 5 million Americans how to deal with this. Hope we fund it. Hope you guys could help, and consider your startups. Can you help on long COVID and related illnesses? That's the end of the preaching thing, but I did it at the end. So
Oh, nice. And actually well said. And it all makes perfect sense. So I just want to again thank everybody who came today to this event. We'll do another life science event next month. Now that I could see, we had almost 80 people, or a little over 80, that came through the event today. This was obviously popular. And I have to say, just personally, having an opportunity to listen to the maybe 30 plus pitches the amount of smart people that pitched to us today. Wow. Wow. Thank you so much. There's so much brain power in this room right now. It blows me away. So I just want to say goodbye to everybody. Have a great weekend. I won't keep you any longer. Come on Wednesdays if you want. And, you know, be a participant. Venture Starters is only this amazing community because of you guys, because you all show up, because you make it happen. It's not because Luke and I, just our idea. It's because you participate. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you too. Can I
Thanks,
quickly
Mark.
get the name of the last
Thanks,
person
Mark.
to pitch just now?
Mark, are you the Mark or Jurgen? Jurgen.
Mark. It was about Mark.
Oh, Mark. His email address is on his picture if you can find him. Mark.
Yeah, and also I just put it on in the chat, I think, and I had it a couple times in the chat before.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Everybody okay? And we can disconnect for today.
And this was stellar. This was stellar.
It was amazing to hear so
It
many
was.
great pitches. Fantastic. Have a great rest of your Saturday,
You
everybody.
too.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye, everyone. Bye, everybody.